Hello, Tim Wilmot here. I've just acquired a new product on the market, some watercolor pens, and I thought I'd give them a try. It's a new British product, and it's called, well, it's a watercolor brush pen and pad art set, but contains some quite vibrant colors. What you get in the pack are about 20 watercolor pens. You get a pad as well to get you started. This is very smooth paper, hot press paper. You've got also a water pen as well that you can use for mixing colors and smooth off the edges. So starting, well, I'll just pick up a blue here, see how it performs. Quite a nice tip to it. We can produce some different thicknesses of lines. If I hold the pen at a slight, say 45-degree angle or even more acute, I can get very thick strokes in there. Very smooth application of the ink. Let's start doing some geometric shapes and just a few diagonal lines there. How about a figure? Quick figure, as I normally do. If you've seen my videos, quick loose start of the figure, head, body, very brief treatment of the legs, bit of a shadow. How about a circle? So let's actually do this in a two-tone, bit of cross-hatching again. Let's change to a lighter blue, more of a sort of aquamarine blue here. Quite bright colours. It'd be great for illustration. It's quite a consistent application of the colour. You can't actually, with a bit of practice, you can't actually see the join of these or the brushstroke marks. They're very, very good for illustration, I would say, or cartoon work. The manufacturers also say it's quite good for calligraphy as well, which I can understand. You can get a very good writing style with it. So this is the water pen, which you fill up with water, obviously. And then just apply. You might need to squeeze it now and again, so it's got a soft plastic body to it. So you just squeeze it, and that will affect how much water comes out. And as with any watercolor, when it's wet, when the paint's pen ink's wet, then you've got a better chance of moving the colors around. Otherwise, just a little bit more of a challenge. So let's go through the actual palette itself, starting with quite a bright yellow, almost like a highlighter, high res yellow, and more of a light orange there, going through a deeper orange, dark orange, more of a pinky colour now. And then dark pink, so I've got a slight slope on my board, water pens escaping there into some like a dark brown colour. sorry, light brown colour, then a darker brown. And a purple. Almost a raw sienna, dark yellow ochre colour. A light green. More of a leafy green, this one. Darker green. And this one's darker still. Almost like a viridian green, this one. Got a sort of bluish hint to it. And then the light blue that I used earlier would be good for skies. And mid blue, almost like a cobalt blue. Darker blue, perhaps similar to an ultramarine blue. And then a dark purple. And a brown, mid-brown, that one. And then finally, this should be black. And then what's it like if I draw around these shapes? That row at the top, that's pretty much dry now, so quite quick drying times. Of course, it might depend on the sort of paper you're using. Probably best to use smooth paper with these pens. These would be great for sketching. So let's do a little sketch. I'm going to choose maybe a scene from Bath, local to me, which I've done a few times before. It would be the approach to Theatre Royal in Bath, where we've got some there's a building on the left hand side of a building and a little car park in front of that. In the background we've got some buildings, a very basic, simple skyline, some figures in the road, different figures. So this is not a tutorial, this is not a demonstration. I'm just trying out these pens. More of a dominant figure there, perhaps someone behind, and a fifth figure. Base of the building, perhaps some kind of A-board outside that right-hand building, curbside on the left and the right, roof, gutter line. They're very smooth, these pens. Just sort of glides over the paper. Of course, depends on what sort of texture you've got. If you've got rough paper, might be a good idea to try this on more traditional watercolor paper. And then thinking about what kind of color I can do the background in. So let's go for an orangey colour. Go vibrant. Quick cross hatching. It's just a quick sketch. Let's then go a little bit darker as we come down towards the base. See how these colours mix together. And then let's have a dark blue for the roof of that main building. So imagining the sun is coming towards us. Darker towards the bottom of those buildings is going to give a bit of highlight and contrast with those two parked cars. Now, going to have to practice cross hatching here. Quickly getting this building, painting around the figures. Then down to the base of the building. Let's change to the black. Where we can get even more of a contrast in. Just dab it in, get really dark down towards street level. So there's a building on the right hand side there that's in the sunlight. So the light's sort of coming from the top left towards us. And now the left hand building. Choose a brown for this. Quickly cross hatch, side of the brush. We'll try out the water pen in a minute. See if we can soften this up. Get rid of those lines. Dark blue shadow coming across the road. Right, water pen. So just ordinary water, and you've got to squeeze it gently just to control how much water comes down to the tip. So mixing all of that up, give ourselves a bit of an edge. And let's see if this does a watercolor type thing where we get some little cauliflowers and interesting textures appearing. Let's try and get a soft edge on that shadow as it comes away, sharper at the start of the shadow. And then while I've got that little bit of colour on the brush, add in some light colouring to these cars, soften up the background building, and then second car, squeeze a bit more water out, because when I want to add in the shadow, I want it to bleed together. Get a darker shadow, and that will bleed into the body of the car. So for the shadow, this may not be, I think this is the purple, may not be dark enough. No. Let's go back to the black. So very quickly, get in the shadow. And add a bit of definition to the curb. And some architectural details. Let's put in an arch on that building on the left. So figures, starting with their faces, just getting some dark flesh tones, arms, very loosely drawn. And then let's have a dark jacket on this main figure. And then using this watercolor brush, let's get in a very soft value for the background figures. So I just picked up a bit of the blue. And that second figure, let's have that blue as well. So, shadows. It needs to be quite dark. Let's go black as we did with the cars. And then very quickly put in a few lines just to give the impression of this building on the right hand side that's the sunlight's hitting. A few lines to help with the perspective. Let's put in a dark windscreen for that car. A few little windows here and there. And just see if it's dry. A few little horizontal lines to give some form to the bumpers on those cars. Maybe some tail lights, bit of red. And then let's add a few almost like dry brush strokes using the side of the brush, just a few lines to help with the perspective and lead the eye in. Bit more detail on the left. Let's make this darker. Going over the top, that's fairly dry now. And just where I'm drawing now on the building, there's a few little cauliflowers, which is the sort of effect we want. Let's get in a lamp post. Fill in that area there, above the cars. A quick, loose lamppost, antique style. Down the road, give it a bit of a shadow. Not too much. Yes, there we are, quick sketch with some watercolor pens. And I think these pens would be ideal if you're going out sketching or going out in the field and you just want to take a few pens with you to capture a scene quickly. You've got a small sketch pad as well, as provided with the set. I think I'd probably reduce the numbers down to number of pens I take if I'm traveling out and about, to a yellow, that kind of mid-blue, a red, and the black as well, and of course the watercolor pen as well. Great also for doing some tonal sketches before doing a painting also, just to get in the values right and the composition right, rather than say doing a pencil sketch. So there we are, my review of Vibrant Jungle watercolor pens.